Welcome into our NFL Draft Player Spotlight. Locked On NFL Draft coverage is presented by Ultimate Football GM. If you think you can run an NFL franchise, visit ultimate-gm.com to play the ultimate NFL GM simulation game. Start your dynasty today. I'm Kainani Stevens in with Jimmy Stein from Locked On Bama because we are talking NFL prospects. And if you want to know what kind of player you're getting, we're going to talk about that here for you. We're talking about the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs for Rolling Tide. Obviously, running backs, they come into the NFL. Sometimes they're a boom, sometimes they're a bust. How do you see his game translating to the next level?
I think he's very game specific. Here's a strange thing about Gibbs. At what he does best, he is outstanding. He will even be outstanding, I believe, in the NFL at what he does best. And what he does best is a unique skill, and that's kind of playing the wide receiver position from the running back position. Okay. He is an outstanding pass receiver. He has the hands of a receiver. He understands routes. He gets open easily. Once he catches the ball in space, he has a gear that I don't think a 40 time properly measures. His game speed is outstanding. You watch him play in games at Alabama, and you would convince yourself he would run a 4.3 on the clock. That isn't necessarily the case. He's not that fast, but in game speed, he is, particularly when he's in space, avoiding defenders. He can make defenders miss in space. He can outrun even the fastest defensive backs in space. But he lines up at the running back position. And when he's in traffic, when he's in the tackle box, when he's taking just a straight handoff on a power play, running behind a pulling guard, maybe that's not really his thing. I don't think we'd be talking about him on this show, frankly, if that was what the NFL was asking him to do. But as a player who catches the ball, as a player who can be a weapon catching the ball out of the backfield on wheel routes and all sorts of routes, he is spectacular in that regard. And I'm real curious to see how NFL teams utilize him because he was Alabama's best offensive skill player this past season, not counting Bryce Young.
It's interesting the way you describe him also because of the Alabama-New England connections, because it kind of reminds me of like how Tom Brady and James White kind of were, and like get those quick slant passes and then it's basically a run from there. Do you feel like if he can find a fit like that in NFL, he would just really be successful at something like that? Just like
Absolutely. He exactly the way that you described. That's how to use him. I think the way the Saints use Alvin Kamara, there's a long-time player in the NFL. I've probably been out of the league now for 5 years or more, but Darren Sproles, that's who Gibbs is a lot like. And I don't mean to peg him as a third down back and nothing more. I think he's better than that. But that's where he's at his best. That's where he's a monster. I mean, I think you've got to find a creative team, a team that can create ways to get him the ball. But as just a straight back, if you put him, and this is me, an Alabama guy, talking a little negative about him, but if you put him in the Tennessee Titans offense and he ran the same plays Derrick Henry does for the Titans, you shouldn't take Gibbs in the 6th round, much less the 1st or 2nd. That's just not him and what he does. He is a space player, but he is exceptional in that regard. And that's why I think, despite the questions about him, he's still a late 1st, 2nd round type pick, even though he's not a traditional NFL running back at all.
Well, versatility, of course, is huge. And as the NFL evolves, I mean, it's a lot more of a passing league than it is a straight, you don't get a lot of Derrick Henrys anymore. So do you feel like he could be, obviously he's not going to be the only guy, but in a combination backfield, he can kind of come in and play that role if he's in the right place immediately?
Exactly. Like when you do a backfield by committee, if you've got, this type of guy and this type of guy and this type of guy, he would be a great fit. Again, he's a playmaker. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs, he was Alabama's best wide receiver last season. He just did it all from the running back position. Now, sometimes he would go in motion and line up in the slot, and he would be difficult to cover out there. But he's at his absolute best as a receiver out of the backfield and on speed plays, whether they're sweeps or whether they're just tosses, anything that can just get Jahmyr in space. if he's running between the tackles, especially in the NFL, if he's running between the tackles into heavy traffic, that's probably not going to be his thing. You probably want one of your other backs to do that job. But in space from day one, he'll be as good as anyone in the NFL.
Sounds like a really unique talent. So I'm excited to see where he's going to end up because that sounds very intriguing to me. Locked on Bama, of course, will have more on what Gibbs will bring to your NFL team. So make sure you check that out. All of this is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.